Gentlemen, we'll begin the Alpena County Board of Commissioners regular full board meeting on Tuesday, 28 November 2023 at 5:30 p.m. First on the agenda, it will be honored by Pastor Jim Erickson to provide the prayer. Pastor Erickson, please, sir.
Thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate this.
We appreciate you being here, sir.
So we pray, our heads and our hearts. Heavenly Father, we take this moment to ask your clear presence over all that happens here this evening. You have put in place and chosen men and women to serve on this board. These are positions of authority, positions of responsibility among us in the community. May they be truly led by your love, by your spirit. May they be resilient in purpose, strong in seeking equitable and fair resolution to all the issues that confront them this evening. Lead them to handle all concerns in accordance with your will for the benefit of those people living here in the Alpena area. We live in such unsettling days, made darker by a lingering animosity within our borders as well as outside our borders in many parts of the world. People around us losing hope, choosing to turn to destruction, and that only magnifies the emptiness within. Apart from you, Lord God, where else can we turn? For you alone have the words of eternal life. Keep us strong, trusting in your sovereign plan and your steadfast love. For you are in control of all history, and you always have been. You work out your purposes in the interests of your people. Nothing surprises you, O God. Nothing ever catches you off guard. Use the discouragement that seems to be so prevalent around us as a means of drawing people to you. They may find eternal life in you, Jesus, our rock of ages. Finding peace and security in your promises, may we bear this confident hope to a succeeding generation so that they are not overwhelmed by despair. Father, as we move next week into this very meaningful Advent Christmas time, remind us once again, Jesus, that you are God with us. May we hold you as the one true treasure in our hearts, from whom all heavenly blessings flow. Save us from settling for the artificial, disappointing treasures of this world that this world too often adores. May we seek first your kingdom and your righteousness. All you lovingly want us to receive from you, peace in our hearts. Oh God, bless all those who serve us so faithfully in this room as commissioners. Bless all who have dedicated their lives to the service of others. Those who serve as community heroes, whether firefighters or police, or healthcare workers or educators in our schools, working so hard with often so little credit. Bless every humble soul in these days of relentless preparation to celebrate the first coming of the hope of the world, Jesus, and to anticipate his coming again in glory. We ask this through the matchless name that is above every name, in Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Erickson. So if you'd all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. If you could do a roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye.
Here.
Commissioner Osmer.
Here.
Commissioner Lalone. Here. Commissioner Peterson's excused. Commissioner Fournier. Here. Commissioner Konashevsky. Commissioner Kozlowski.
Here.
Commissioner Francisco.
Here. Thank you. First order of business is I will look for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Looking for a motion and support.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Lalonde. Do I have support? I have support from Commissioner LaHaye. Is there any additions or modifications, amendments to the agenda before we fully approve it? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. Those opposed, say no. Hearing none, the motion is carried and the agenda has been adopted for the record. We'll start the meeting with a positive event. Well, maybe not so positive because someone is leaving our employ here in the very near future. We have a resolution of tribute for Janine Brown, and I'll read the resolution and then I'll ask Janine and Wes to come forth and present her with the resolution. So whereas Janine Brown has diligently and faithfully served the residents and the county employees of Alpena County for 25 years, and whereas Janine began her career with the county of Alpena on July 27th, 1998. Janine worked in the maintenance department as a maintenance technician level 2, then became a maintenance technician level 2 secretary and assisting the maintenance superintendent. And whereas Janine Brown began her day at the county greeting everyone with a warm smile and friendly personality and did not hesitate to stop what she was doing to assist any county employee with help, including the commissioner's office, and assisted the public graciously so they could conduct their business. And whereas Janine will be greatly missed by her coworkers, citizens of Alpena County and the Board of Commissioners, especially the staff in the Commissioner's office. And now, therefore, let it be resolved that the County of Alpena, by resolution of the Alpena County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of the citizens of the County of Alpena, would like to express our thanks and appreciation to Janine Brown for her loyalty, commitment, and dedication she has put forth over her 25 years of service to Alpena County. This was moved by Commissioner Kozlowski and supported by Commissioner Osmer to approve resolution number 2324 of tribute as presented. The motion was carried unanimously. Signed, Bill Peterson, Chairman, Alpena County Board of Commissioners. So Russ, if you could please come forward, and Janine also, please. And if you do the honor, sir, to present Janine with this copy of the resolution of tribute to Janine.
Dean, thank you for all your hours, time you spent. Meant a lot to this department. Congratulations.
All right.
You will be greatly missed. Go do something fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, Janine, thank you very much for all you've done for us. Thank you. And don't make a stranger of yourself. You're always welcome. The next item on our agenda is public comment. Do we have any public comment present here today in our meeting area? Seeing none. How about on Zoom? Lynn, any public comment? Anybody raising their hand?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay, therefore we will close public comment. Next item on our agenda is the consent calendar as attached. I'll look for a motion to approve the consent calendar, which includes actions as listed in the attached and the filing of all reports.
Just ask that we pull CPSC -2.
CPSC-2. Okay. So we will hold off and pull the 2024 ambulance village ballot language as presented. Okay, very good, sir. So noted. Any other actions? If not, I'm still looking for a motion and support to approve the consent calendar with the exception of CPSC item number 2.
I will make that motion.
The motion from Commissioner Lalonde. Do I have support?
Support.
A support from Commissioner Kozlowski. Any further discussion? If not, we'll need a roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalonde,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next item on our agenda are to pay the bills. I'll look for a motion and support to pay all the bills as submitted.
I'll
I
make that
just
motion.
have a question. Oh, go ahead and make them.
I made the motion.
I have the motion from Commissioner Fornia. I have support from Commissioner Kozlowski. Discussion?
Yeah, on, under district court, just a question, $1,800 and it was labeled fees. I'm just curious what that was.
You have anyone here from district court that can, or how about, carry any information? Nothing? No, those invoice or supplement that provides a little more detail than what we see on the,
I was just looking, but I can look in here, see if there's anything in there.
the amount of 1865 and 94 cents.
I just have the invoice, but I was looking for the. Okay, so those were, PNC bank fees that they have quarterly.
Oh, is it that much?
They usually pay those quarterly, right, Kim? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my bank fees were bad.
I think that those are quarterly though, not.
Okay. So we have a motion and we have support. Do we have any other discussion or questions? If not, roll call, please. I'll wait till you have to put your paperwork away. Take your time.
Commissioner Osmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone?
Yes.
Commissioner Fornier?
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski?
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye?
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco?
Yes. The next item on our agenda is Airport Manager Steve Smigelski. The first topic is approving the reallocation of airport property. So Steve, please.
Evening, everybody. It makes a pretty straightforward issue. On December 10th, we're going to be taking over fueling at the airport. And we're going to need a hard stand to put the tankers on. Now, this hard stand is concrete with electricity to it, and it also has a retaining basin on it. An attorney review of that property that was conducted by Edward Black when he was still the prosecutor shows that the county does in fact own this. So what I am seeking tonight is to reallocate the lease with irrigation services. And I don't know if you've all got the borough that came with the that outlines the area that we would like to take back from the lease, which will of course reduce the lease payment from irrigation services. And once we have that in hand, we'll be good to start our fueling operations on the 10th.
Okay. Anything else, Steve, on that topic right now?
On that topic, no, unless there's any questions.
So what I'll look for is a motion to recommend to approve the land reallocation of 8,550 square feet from the edge of the ramp to the perimeter fence and to abutting the FAA lease on December 10th, 2023, Alpena County Regional Airport shall have exclusive rights to fueling operations at the airport. Looking for a motion and support.
I'll make the
I
motion.
have a motion from Commissioner LaHaye. Do I have support?
Support.
A support for Commissioner Lalone. Any discussion on the motion that's been presented? Hearing none, I'd like a roll call vote on that, please.
Commissioner Lalone?
Yes.
Commissioner Fornier?
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski?
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye?
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer?
Yeah.
Commissioner Francisco?
Yes. Motion is carried. The next topic also includes the airport manager, a resolution, approved a resolution number 23-25, the FAA grant with the Michigan Department of Transportation and Alpena County. We're looking for a recommendation to approve resolution 23-25 FAA grant with MDOT and Alpena County. Contract number 2024-0115, the airport project rehabilitate runway 1-19 pavement, the middle portion of 1,045 feet by 150 feet, phase 3 and 4 construction, and authorize the chairman of the board and or the county administrator to sign all pertaining documents to this airport project as presented. So Steve, if you could give a little more detail, please.
As you may recall, when we were rehabilitating the runway, the intersection pavement totally failed underneath the new asphalt, which required stripping it all the way back down to earth and rebuilding the entire thing back up to grade. The entire project was being funded with what we had left in our CARES Act money, which amounted to about $13 million. Unfortunately, when the intersection failed, there was no more money left in the CARES to take care of that. So what this grant is, this is actually coming out of the Airport Improvement Program money. We get $1 million a year for gaining 10,000 enplanements. We were going to purchase 2 snowplows with this, but getting the runway back in shape seemed to be a little bit better use of the money. It's kind of unusual the way this one went because it had to roll so fast because the damage had already been done. The money needed to be allocated. FAA actually allocated the money before releasing the grant. So now what we're doing is we're taking care of all the administrative aspects of approving the grant, getting the resolutions, putting everything before MDOT so that they can receive FAA.
Okay, thank you, sir. So looking for a motion and support for resolution to approve resolution 23-25, the FAA grant with MDOT and the county of Alpena.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Fournier and support from Commissioner LaHaye. Any discussion or questions?
You mentioned that it's the money that we get from the employments. We get $1 million, so they're giving us 1.9.
Yes, it's going to actually affect money that we had, that we were reserving, because you can hold your AIP money for up to 4 years. If you have a large project and you need more AIP money. We had AIP money in the bank, plus they were also taking this fiscal year's allocation to take care of the runway repairs. So that's where the 1.9 million comes from. There's also going to be a county match and MDOT match of 2.5%. 2.5% is initially going to have to come up with the money. What I can do is then, because this happened so fast, there was no way for me to put this onto any sort of reimbursement. However, I can put this on the next PFC application, which will be application 5, and that should give us the money to repay what we're borrowing today.
Okay, any other questions? Discussion? No? Okay, we'll look for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski, Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes. Okay, the motion is carried. Next item on our agenda is from our county administrator, Mary Catherine.
This is really just informational. As you guys recall, we had to have the cost allocation plan revamped as part of some questions that came from the state auditors for the 911 department. So this is just letting you know that all of that has been completed and the plan has been resubmitted to the state of Michigan.
Okay, thank you. Any questions at all before we move on to the next step? We're not looking for a motion, but any questions for Mary Catherine? Okay, thank you. Moving on to our agenda, the next item is reports of special or ad hoc committees. And Chairman Peterson is not here, so unless somebody can update for the Facilities, Capital and Strategic Planning Committee, we'll move on then.
Commissioner Krzyzewski, his flight was delayed. That's why he's not here.
Okay,
He said they just landed.
okay. Well, we're not waiting.
No.
Okay. Courts and Public Safety, Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yeah. So we had a discussion at Courts and Public Safety. Most or some of the stuff that we discussed was the ambulance millage and then possibly modifying that current contract. The discussion was that we could amend the current contract and instead of changing the current contract, amend or go with the new contract starting in 2025.
Right, the current contract
Goes through the end.
expires at the end of 2024.
Yeah, so instead of changing the whole contract a year in advance, we were gonna potentially look at making an amendment to the contract if we need to, and then starting the new contract in 2025, and then extending that or going for 5, 6 years. So that way there was some discussion about, instead of purchasing an ambulance every 2 years, we would purchase the ambulance every 3 years. So that way we would have enough time to cover those two ambulances. One thing that they did come back, Chief Edmonds came back and wanted reimbursement on some stuff. There was one item that his original request was for 22,000. The actual contract had it at 22,500, so we did modify. Most of this stuff was in the notes, so I don't want to be redundant. So that's probably the big things. I think the big thing was the contract with the city.
Any questions for Commissioner Kozlowski regarding the Courts and Public Safety Committee? Okay, thank you, John. Next is our Personnel Committee update. Commissioner Ross.
Not a whole lot to report. We'll have more to update next time. Pretty much all we discussed this last, for the most part, were some of the appointments that will be putting forth to the full board. Specifically, we have one vacancy on Parks and Rec, one on Department of Human Services, one on Veterans Affairs, and 4 on planning. We'll be doing those in the near future, and hopefully there'll be a little bit more of an exciting report so that takes place. Okay.
Any questions for Commissioner Osmer? Okay, we'll move on then. And Commissioner Konashevsky is absent, so we will not have an Economic Development Committee update. Commissioner Kozlowski, the Animal Control Ad Hoc Committee update.
We didn't really have a lot of that either. We weren't presented with policies, basically pushed it out and recommended that if we need to do this, we need the policies in advance, because when we showed up at the meeting, we didn't have any. We were told that we will get a complete set of policies for the entire animal control shelter that are in the works right now, and we pushed the meeting out. So there will not be a meeting in December, and we decided to hold off until January for that meeting. And that was really the main thing, just the policies and the expectations that we get stuff prior to the meetings.
Any questions for Commissioner Kozlowski on the Animal Control Ad Hoc meeting? Okay, thanks, Commissioner Kozlowski. Next is the DHD number 4, Commissioner Fournier.
Just a couple of things. The state is now demanding that the preschool and kindergartners, their teeth have to be examined before they start school. And so that will start. Also, they're having an open house in Atlanta at the new District Health 4. And the grand opening is December 13th from 11 to 12:30. And it's a really nice building. So it's right on Main Street. You can't miss it. And that's about it.
Okay, any questions for Commissioner Fournier on DHD number 4? Commissioner Lalone, anything to add?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay, very good. Next, Parks and Recreation Commission, Commissioner LaHaye.
Most of the parks are shut down now. In fact, all of them are shut down for the winter, and they're getting a new computer system set up. So that'll go in on the first of the year. We're talking about getting rid of the point persons, and also talking about hiring a person to do secretarial work and other things for all the parks. So none of that has been, some of that hasn't been resolved yet, but they're working on it, so.
Okay,
Excuse me a minute. Commissioner Lay, didn't we appoint Jesse as the new secretary?
He's the secretary, yes. And we
volunteered.
eliminated that, but they were still talking about this other person and I'm not,
Oh, so
we're
that,
not, they didn't make a decision on that. They just talked about it. So I didn't,
yeah, so we're not really sure on all what they are going to include.
well, we weren't sure what it was going to include, or who was going to do it or what. So
And just clarification, I've always been the secretary as appointed on the first meeting. I just get to actually
You're gonna
take
be
notes.
replacing.
I'll actually be, yeah, I'll actually be taking minutes now. So like,
he was the secretary, but we were using somebody else. We're using Lynn, but
Okay, any discussion or questions to Commissioner Leahy on Parks and Rec? Okay, thank you, sir. Next is the Montmorency Oscoda Alpena Landfill Authority, and Commissioner Peterson and I are on that. The last meeting was on 22 November. And we're getting closer, the authority is getting closer to having an injection well operational. The estimated time for operation is on or about 18 December. Been a number of reasons for the operational time being set back, but the bottom line is now we have a prefab building and that was built out in the state of Wyoming it's going to be delivered either 30 November or 1 December. Once that's done, just a few minor hookups and preparations. So by mid-December, that injection well should be operational and that'll save us a considerable amount of money that's been paid out for hauling the leachate away so we can use the injection well. Also, just as a point, the board approved a 3% pay raise for 2024 for the staff at the MOA landfill. Subject to questions, that's all I've got on the MOA landfill authority. Okay, hearing none. The planning commission, Commissioner Leahy.
the planning commission met at Osnick Township Hall with several other townships. And they went over the rec plan, made some suggestions and worked on connecting the trails and so that's where they're at with that.
Okay, any questions on the planning commission for Commissioner Leahy? Okay, the next committee report would be for the Northern Michigan Regional Entity, i.e. NMRE, and I'm the representative that attends there. The last meeting was on 6 November, and we meet every other month. Right now, the financial report for NMRE is pretty good. There's a $3 million fund balance. And just FYI, Alpena's PA2 or the liquor tax balance as of 23 August, that was the last financial update. Alpena County has a balance of $280,812 for future projects. Other than that, not much else to report from the NMRE. Any questions? Okay. Northeast Michigan Consortium, Commissioner Lalonde.
So there is, they usually meet quarterly. There is a tour that's going to take place December 4th. Consumers Power put it together. It's going to be they're calling it a hydro tour. It's going to be of Cook Dam over in the Oscoda area to see the inner workings of that and then what practices, their best practices that they take there. And that's all I have for that one.
Okay, thank you. Next is Northeast Michigan Council of Governments. I'm the representative there. The last meeting was 28 September for the month of October. And I've already reported on that from back in October. And the next meeting is not until 21 December. So I'll give an update after that 21 December meeting. Commissioner Konashevsky is not here, so we'll move along. NEMSCA, Commissioner Lalonde.
So just a normal meeting. It was actually a quick one. There was some community concerns that were discussed. The Northern Michigan Children's Assessment Center recently held a fundraiser dinner for their center in Iosco County. I've actually seen that. It's very, very nice. The center serves children in need of interviewing as a result of alleged abuse. When there's alleged abuse cases that they'll go there for counseling and things of that nature. In September, NEMSCA and the University of Michigan Flint School of Nursing held preschool Head Start physical education health fairs. This partnership between the school and NEMSCA was discussed. There were some accolades done. And then it was the appreciation of NEMSCA's involvement, and that was definitely stressed at that. DTE and Relief Michigan held an amazing event in the community that many families were able to attend. They planted 20 trees to diversify the canopy there, which I thought that was pretty cool. And they have stated that early childhood services hires have increased in the past month. If you'll remember, it was definitely a concern over the summer. They had 12 classrooms that were not going to be done for Head Start just because they didn't have staff to run it. So that was definitely a high concern of having the teachers to do that. So they had a pretty heavy campaign with some increased wages. So they're close to resolving that. They're still 4 short as far as that goes, but that was definitely a positive jump as far as that goes. And that is all.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? On NEMSCA operations? Okay. Next, Dare, Commissioner Kozlowski.
No updates. Our next meeting is scheduled for January 11th.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Hunt, Commissioner Osmer.
Actually, that's the one that I had Chairman Peterson proxy for me, I believe, and there was no quorum, so there was nothing to report.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Thank you, sir. Target Alpena then.
So that one I actually missed. But I can report that one of the few things other than at that time the DDA extension was being discussed is that Mr. Mueller expressed that there would be a small business support element that they'd like to build within Target. They interviewed numerous candidates, made a unanimous decision, offered the job to that person. That person ended up declining in the end. So they're going on a second round to try filling that vacancy.
Okay. Any questions for Commissioner Osmer on Target Alpena? Okay, I guess moving right into Thunder Bay Marine Sanctuary, Commissioner Osmer.
We haven't had a meeting since the last report I had. So
Okay,
they only meet 4 times a year.
got it. Thank you, sir. United Way, Commissioner Kozlowski.
No updates at this time.
Okay. Next is LEPC and Central Dispatch and the local planning team. I attended those meetings. The last meeting for all 3 of those entities was 18 October. The next meeting is 3 January. I'll start with the Central Dispatch Committee. At that meeting, there was a recommendation and an approval to update the car deer accident protocols. And basically, the issue was ambulances were automatically dispatched anytime an airbag went off. And there was a lot of time and effort without any kind of a response required. So the protocol that was agreed upon that's now implemented is that the officer on scene will make the call to determine whether a medical response is required when there's a car deer accident specifically involving a airbag deployment. We also approved a number of policies at that meeting, including the record policy. I won't go into those details at this time, only because if you're interested, I can fill you in later. And then protocols for responding to airport emergencies. Those were all approved by the Central Dispatch Committee. Next was the Local Emergency Planning Committee. At that committee, Kim Elke reported that there were 3 offsite response plans that were submitted to the Michigan State Police Emergency Management Homeland Security Division. And all those plans were subsequently approved. We also discussed the sheriff's recommendation for radio procurement at that meeting as well. And further discussion will be continued. And then the local planning team, the emergency operation plan for the county, the group reviewed and approved annexes Echo, Golf, Juliet, and Lima of the emergency operations plan. Also, the county emergency operations plan was provided or submitted to the city of Alpena for their emergency operations plan update, and they can adopt to approve the county plan, and then they can choose to supplement if they need to. That's still pending a decision. So nothing further to report on the Central Dispatch, Local Emergency Planning Commission, or the local planning team. Subject to questions. Okay. Next is the NMMA, basically the recycling authority. Mary Catherine, would you mind taking that one?
Sure. Unfortunately, because of a conflict with this meeting, this board, neither Commissioner Francisco nor myself were able to attend that meeting, but I did receive an update. The board acted on some recommendations for some cost trimming measures that will carry it into the first of next year, which is good. So they will stand in good operating order as they head into 2024. Also very good news, which is that they just received an additional technical assistance grant. So RRS will be able to continue to provide technical assistance, planning for them, which will also include planning to help get it into the planning process for the new building. The board also approved a RFP from Huron Engineering Services to put together the bid documents for the design and construction of the building new facility. And so those bid documents will be going out shortly.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mary Catherine on the NMMA authority? Okay. Commissioner LaHaye, Veterans Affairs.
Veterans Affairs met, but they didn't have a quorum, so they couldn't have a meeting. But I think they're having a poll vote on dates for meetings next year.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And Road Commission, Commissioner LaHaye.
Road Commission met and they did mostly routine maintenance on roads and state highways and state trunk lines, and they did some surveying, design and engineering on Long Rapids Road, Airport Road, Hamilton Road, and Bagley Street. So those are in the process for getting done next year. There was a road, 1,050 feet on Wall Avenue, which is in the Waterworks subdivision or pad addition, that wasn't being taken care of by the county, but it was in the county right away. So they decided to take care of that road. They didn't know why they weren't taking it, but somebody asked them why they weren't, and so they're going to take it.
So now they're going.
They recommended taking care of it.
Okay.
And then they sub out the Waymaster to some of that to the state police, and they purchased street name signs, various locations, and they have trouble with signs. People steal the signs and they keep, it's continue maintenance on signs. So they have a lot of that. They're putting a keyless entry system for the building, and they're going to put the security windows in the lobby as you walk into the office there. They have a thing there, but it's not secure. So they're going to use the same people that put the security here. So they, for that particular range. And let's see what else we got here. There's some federal aid project proposals that they have, and I won't get into all that stuff, but another this really wasn't at the meeting, but I looked up some of this stuff. There's 83 county road commissions in Michigan, and it's the nation's fourth largest local road network. And the total state has 122 miles of road, and there's approximately 11,000 bridges.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yep, please.
Bill, have they talked about a bypass yet on 32? For the school price or the?
Well, they've talked about it, but nobody's made any decision on that. That's really the township, Alpena Township is going to have to get on that. And I think they're doing some kind of a grant study or right?
They are working towards a transportation study, which would be one of the first steps, so that the state could fund a portion of that. But then I believe Commissioner LaHaye is correct, the township will have to fund a portion of that. So they will have to be a full partner for that project.
Pretty serious, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any questions on the Road Commission, that report from Commissioner LaHaye? Hearing none, thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Next item on our agenda are special orders. Do we have any special orders? No. Any unfinished business and general orders?
Do you want to?
Unfinished business.
Okay,
Oh, I was going to say, do you want to address the item that Commissioner Kozlowski pulled, the CSPC number 2 under unfinished business?
sure. Okay.
Mine found right there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do so.
Ready to go?
Yes, sir.
One of the reasons that I pulled it was we, during our meeting, we had the discussion of actually the millage itself. And then after our meeting, I had a conversation regarding the language and potential, I don't know if it was an issue, could be an issue. It was ever presented to legal representation, but I know we usually have that step when we had the bond for the jail, we had legal representation look at that. So after my discussion, I just wanted to make sure and pull that to make sure. And again, it's not a huge thing, but I think that, we shouldn't just make the assumption that everything looks good and push on with it. So I don't know if this is, and again, it's pretty minimal, if this is something that should be, because I know in the past we've had other villages run through, especially when you change language. And I don't know if that was ever done after the last time.
After, I don't know if there was legal review when this was
You didn't
put
run it past
on.
them
No,
last
I
time?
didn't exactly. But I'm certainly happy to send this to legal review and bring it back to the board.
Yeah, that's the only concern that I would have. Let's see what else I have.
So CPSC number 3 is okay because but obviously it's tied to number 2. Because CPSC number 3 is to approve to renew the ambulance millage for 6 years at 1.5 mils to be placed on the 2024 ballot as presented. So until number 2 is resolved, we really can't move forward with
I
3.
would hope that it would be a quick review.
Right. I mean, yes, and so it can just be that pending legal review.
Okay.
So you can either move on this pending legal review, or you can not act on it, and I will bring it back after it's had legal review and you can act on it
Because I
then.
think our discussion was potentially May, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so hopefully the lawyers don't drag this out until May.
I can't imagine.
So then am I hearing that your recommendation then is Commissioner Kozlowski is to recommend the approval of the 2024 ambulance millage ballot language as presented upon legal review and approval?
That's exactly what I said.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're making that motion?
I'll make that motion.
And I have a second from Commissioner Osmer. Okay. All in favor of the CPSC item number 2 as modified indicate by saying yes.
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 Those opposed indicate by saying no. Hearing none, CPSC action item number 2 as modified is approved. We'll just wait for the legal review and approval to move forward. Okay. Any other unfinished business in general orders? Very good. Okay, any correspondence?
Nothing other than what's already been sent on.
Okay, very well, thank you. In the area of new business is to approve the draft 2024 budget. Now, I believe all of you have received the updated 2024 budget from our last budget workshop, correct? Okay. And our options are today to approve it as presented, or we choose not to, and we will have to move forward with another special session to be able to hammer out any further details to come up with an approved budget. And Treasurer Ludlow, could you give us again the not later than date to meet all the requirements for posting the budget, et cetera?
Last week.
I was gonna say pretty much last week.
Last week.
So you have to have, once you approve a budget, it needs to go on display for a minimum of 10 days.
Okay, yep.
Okay. And then you have to approve it at a full board, actually adopt it at a full board. So have a full board, you have a Ways and Means / full board on December 12th, which is basically just 14 days from now.
Right.
And then you'll have another one on December 27th. If there is not an adopted budget by the end of the year, then no money can be spent come January 1st.
Okay. So that is the timeline that we have in front of us at this time. So I'll look for a motion to approve the 2024 draft budget as presented. Motion and support.
I'll make a motion that we approve the budget.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kozlowski that we approve the draft 2024 budget. Do I have support?
I'll support.
I have support from Commissioner Malone. Discussion.
So the only thing that I would say, and I know Commissioner Osmer has made comments about, starting earlier with budget stuff. And I think, again, this is budget as we move into 2024. As the treasurer has mentioned that, in order for us to move forward, we need this budget approved so we can move forward. I would suggest that, as Commissioner Osmer has mentioned numerous times, that we work this, and again, it is a budget. And as things come up, we need to work towards reducing the budget. I know we cannot go back into more budget discussions and try to hack it away in the next, couple of days, because that would be pretty tight. But I do recommend that we look at ways to reduce this budget as we move into 2024.
So noted. Thank you, sir. Say we have a motion and support. Any further discussions? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes.
So my question at this time is, are you going to request that the treasurer's office put this budget on display?
I'll add that into my motion if it's not too late.
We can start a new
We
motion.
can.
I guess,
I'd like to make a motion to have Treasurer Kim Ludlow put the approved draft budget on display for 10 days.
I'll support that.
Thank you.
I have a motion from Commissioner Lalone and support from Commissioner Kozlowski. Any discussion? Those who support indicate by saying yes.
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 Those who oppose indicate by saying no. Hearing none, the motion is carried. And Commissioner Ludlow, if you would please, or Commissioner Treasurer Ludlow, if you would please.
I could say not commissioner.
I don't have the authority to make that appointment. No,
You do not.
She
I
does-
misspoke.
She does not want.
Okay, very good. Okay, moving into old business discussion regarding the approval of the DDA, the city approval of the DDA expansion and implementation of the interlocal agreement. Commissioner Osmer, you asked to have that to be placed on the.
Yeah, and I'm
agenda.
not sure if there's necessarily any action we can take. I guess I just wanted to express that, throughout the entire discussion with the DDA expansion taking place, and the numerous times the DDA and the city came here, we asked for a few things. We asked for a member of this board, or not, I'm sorry, not members for this board to be able to appoint somebody to the DDA committee. They declined. We asked if we could do a handshake agreement, where we put forth some names. It was kind of a lukewarm reception. We asked about boundaries being changed. That was declined. Finally, the one thing that we were given was the fact that there's certain houses that were within the district that are in a mixed zone area. And for that purpose, they weren't given the same treatment as those homeowners who live in homesteads, I believe was it on River Street, if I remember correctly. So we asked for those to be carved out. We were told, okay. We were told that time and time again, verbally and in writing, including the very last meeting where we finally passed a motion to accept it. And I believe on the way out the door, I asked, you made this promise that wasn't in here. Is that going to be in the final product? And they said, yes, we're just working on the language. We're trying to figure out the wording or how to make that work. For those on this board who don't know, the city went ahead and passed it and decided not to include that language, which was promised to us. I think the most disappointing thing was they didn't bring it back for revisitation. There was no explanation. There was no apology. The city and the DDA aren't even here tonight to say, hey, you know what, we did our best and for these reasons, it didn't work. I think it's shameful. I'm very disappointed, and I hope the county remembers this moving forward the next time the DDA or the city come to us with a plan, that we can't take their word, that we're basically going to have to make sure we jump through extra hoops. We watch those I's being dotted and those T's being crossed, and it's bruised up the partnership, I believe, going forward. Hopefully we can get past it, but I'm just very, very disappointed. I wanted to be on the record as stating as much. I did ask Mary Catherine to look at the two options about the referendum to retract. I don't know if that's necessarily something we want to do, or if there was anything we could do to change it because it was somewhat of a verbal agreement. So That's my 2 cents. I just wanted to be on the record and make sure that the rest of the board was aware of what happened.
Can you refresh my memory, Commissioner Osmer? How many homesteads were in that new expansion?
Under 20. So,
And it should be noted, it was only 20 homes, but that's 20 families that are going to get increased taxes that we were promised that they wouldn't. And that is our job, is to protect the taxpayer as much as possible and to advocate for them and fight for them. And I agree with everything that Commissioner Osmer stated. I was very, very disappointed as a big supporter of that expansion, that is how they chose to proceed without full disclosure to the commissioners.
And I agree as well, because Commissioner Osmer, that is from the very beginning, has made that point that that's the district he represents. And he made a promise that he was going to do this. And I'm not saying you didn't do your part, Chelsea, but I think it's wrong on their behalf of coming to us and saying, we made the good faith effort. And I don't think that everybody was all on board at the very beginning, especially with how it worked out. But in the end, we came together and we decided on an amount and we did that. And I think it's wrong that they didn't make that effort to put forward what they said they were going to do.
It should be noted too, to the public, because I don't think the public really understood that expansion could have been approved between the city and the DDA. It did not have to involve the county at all. But they made it very public about that for a year and cornered the commissioners as not interested in small businesses or what the community wanted, by forcing us to give them taxpayers' money to fund the expansion. And if we didn't, that it wouldn't be approved or gone through with. We did definitely feel that way. And then to go back on the things that we wanted, that we felt was fair and very small to ask for the taxpayers. And then to go back on that, I mean, that definitely should be stated to the public.
And I think, to supplement that, the residences that in question are in Commissioner Osmer's district as a county commissioner, but they are also residents of the city of Alpena, and city council has the same responsibility to try to do the right thing for their constituents and the residents of the city of Alpena. So that calls that into question in my.
Just for the commissioner's information, after speaking with Commissioner Osmer, I did reach out to the city manager. There was a legal opinion that was presented to city council in regards to this question. And the city manager did say that I could share that with the commissioners. I do have that now, so I can share that with everyone so that you will have that for your records and information. They did reach out to legal counsel around this question and got a response back. And I think that was part of their decision-making, but I will share that with everyone so you have it.
I appreciate that. I do want to follow up on that. I was actually in the meeting. I left shortly after the vote passed. Just for full clarification, I know the attorney that they used. I respect him. He's a good guy. That attorney, though, does sit on the DDA board. Take it for what it's worth. It was also a lot of poing and humming. It was, well, you can do this, but it could be litigated, but you could do it if you wanted to. It's just, it could go to court. There's no precedent, but you could do it if you wanted. But it was, again, unfortunate. So, and again, the other issue is not only that they passed it, was the fact that there was no reach out to this board after the fact to say, hey, this is what happened, or even beforehand.
Well, it's almost like they got what they needed and then they moved on.
Exactly.
And now they're coming back.
But yeah, Mary Catherine, if you could share that.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
That around.
Okay, any other discussion on the city approval of the DDA expansion?
Other than I agree with the commissioners,
Okay.
that I think that they do owe us an apology, and to the homeowners. I feel very bad for them. I always said no to the DDA, and finally I agreed because they were getting their property taxes cut. But that didn't happen. And if I would have known, I would have stuck to my no vote. But I don't know if it's too late now, but it's done. And I think that they do owe those homeowners a big apology, although that's not going to help them.
So this means every single one of us has to stay on as a commissioner until the DDA comes back in 10 years.
I doubt if they're going to come back.
I didn't mean to-
They would have.
Okay, any further discussion then? We all set? Okay. Next on our agenda is the final public comment. We have 3 minutes per person to make public comment. Anybody here in the gallery? Sir, please state your name.
Hi, Kevin Ginter, 390 South Lawn in Alpena. I was at the same meeting Commissioner Hussman was at, and I think it's typical that the people who are in the way of a change don't speak up. I don't know how sometimes you gather that group and say, hey, this is going to happen if we don't do something. And the attorney had mentioned that there was no squeaky wheels. So, and I think that's, my opinion was, you got to look at what the right thing to do is, not so much whether or not you get any complaints. Because there's other things where things don't get the attention and people go, well, I guess nobody has a problem with it. Let's just move forward. The other thing that I was trying to understand was the devil's in the details. So you have to look at what the benefit to the homeowner is versus what they would pay as that portion of their, if you will, DDA tax. So I think that's something to look at. If it's a thing where the homeowner at some point their home is worth more, so they can sell it for more because the DDA is making improvements in the area, maybe that's a good thing. But someone would have to really get down and do some math to see how the homeowner, whether it would be a net loss or net gain for them for the DDA. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gintner. Any other for public comment? Yes, please come up and state your name, please.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Happ. I'm here on behalf of my daughter and son-in-law. They purchased some land located in Green Township via the public tax auction in August of 2023. Although we understand that the information on the tax sale site is as close to being accurate as possible and should only be used as a reference, the description specifically states it includes a home or cottage and burnt down house on the property, and pictures of the house were on the tax site as well. The tax site also states trespassers are subject to prosecution. It was our assumption that this meant we could not have the property surveyed prior to our bidding on it. Prior to bidding, we did obtain copies of the well and septic records from the health department and spoke with the sanitarian regarding the likelihood of the systems being able to be utilized in the future. We hired someone to complete the demolition of the burned out house, haul the remains away, and clear some of the trees in preparation for our new home. We then hired a surveyor to identify our parcel boundaries. The outcome of the survey showed that the entire septic system and drain field, the entire driveway, the burned out garage, and a portion of the burned out house are not even on the property we purchased. This poses a huge problem as we bought this parcel solely because it had a well and septic already on it. We have obtained the assessor's record card, which clearly states the septic is included in the parcel. In addition, we obtained the septic permit, which was pulled in 1991. Per that permit, there was already an existing septic tank, thus meaning there has been a septic on that land for at least 32 years. Additionally, the original well permit was pulled in 1968. Although we aren't sure when the house was built, we have to assume it's been there in excess of 50 years. How was all of this constructed and never questioned? The property line law in Michigan states that a property line which has been treated by neighbors as a property line for at least 15 years can be established as the property line, even if different than the surveyed line. Since we have exhausted all of our options, we have retained an attorney and are pursuing legal action to obtain the piece of property we were sold by Alpena County. In addition to potentially thousands of dollars in legal fees, we've incurred and continue to incur additional expenses to include lot fees from our new house sitting longer than allowed, additional rental fees of $1,000 per month for several more months, an additional moving fee since the house mover couldn't put it directly on our property, Regardless of the outcome, this is costing us a great deal of money and time, of which we have neither. It is unfathomable that Alpena County isn't accepting any responsibility for this deceitful sale, nor is there any attempt to rectify the situation. We are aware that the county has its own attorney, and one would think a case like this should be reviewed by them. Our next steps include a letter in the Alpena News and to State Rep Jack Bergman. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further public comment here in the gallery? Any further public comment? Oh, excuse me. Go ahead, sir. Please state your name.
Yeah, hello, Mark Hunter. Just a quick comment on the DDA. I haven't reviewed this in a long time. I used to follow that. There may be, and I would say you'd have to consult someone who's up on the DDA regulation, but there may be an opt-out period for those 20 houses following the designation.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Any further public comment from here in the gallery? If not, anybody online, Lynn?
No one's raising their hand.
Nobody's raising their hand. Okay, then we will close public comment. I'll look for a motion and support to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I have the motion from Commissioner Lahey and I have support from Commissioner Kozlowski. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is carried and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Hey, Courtney.